Alright, so onwards to sleeves, and it is very tempting to fold it together and sew it down and iron it flat here. And with these cuts of sleeves though, that's not the halfway mark. So you'll need to flip it a little bit like this and adjust it. Get the head of the shoulder so it's making a nice round mark on both sides that are even. And then that, press open this seam here. When I'm pressing seams, if they're small like this, I like to do a little bit of a finger press. If they're larger, I tend to sew them flat one way and then come and I sew them flat the other way. This starts to train the fabric on where I want it, and then I split it open and I use the tip of the iron to lay flat that seam. And then, because this is the inside of the sleeve, and we're going to be sewing it right sides together, we flip it all around, and then we do the same thing where we make sure that the head of the shoulder lines up, and this is that back seam, so there's actually going to be a seam running down the back of your arm. I've been told that's more period. I don't know. I haven't looked it up yet. And then you iron it flat. And what's really handy about this is that this gives you the folds here and here. These are the points that you'll be matching to your shoulder seam and to the bottom of the seam under the armpit. So let's get to pinning. All right, so where I don't pin very much at all during this process, during the making of these dresses, this is one area where I do pin the dickens out of things. So I make sure that I'm using the right sleeve for the right side of the body because they're not symmetrical. And then here's the back seam that I know is going to go on the back, and this is the back of my dress. And so with that, I go ahead and at this point in time just insert the sleeve so right sides are together, and then that crease that I sewed in or ironed in earlier, that gets matched up to the seam at the shoulder and pinned in place. And then I do the same thing at the armpit seam, is that crease that we ironed in at the armpit of the sleeve gets lined up and put in the armpit seam. And with these, because we have the 4 layers of fabric with a lining, it's really a good idea to go ahead and split it open and have one side on each side. So that way you're not having, like, this way you only have 4 layers of fabric here where the seam allowance lays over instead of 8 layers. All right, so we know what our end goal is going to be, and now we just need to ease our round shoulder into, well, our convex shoulder into our concave body. I like to take it and keep it fairly neutral between the tensions for the first few inches underneath the armpit. And then you can tell though we have some extra fabric that we're going to have to ease in to this seam. And so at this point I start pulling. You might be able to get 1 more inch here of just neutral tensioning. And then we're going to really start pulling here. And with that surged edge, it makes it a little bit less pliable, but we're just going to pull tight the top, which is the body of the dress, and then we're just going to kind of loosely put and tack in the sleeve. And this is called easing, or you're just kind of, it's kind of like gathering, but yet not. You're just doing it with the fabric itself. So I'm tensioning using both hands, and then I'm going to finger pin it here, and then go ahead and use a straight pin. And same thing here. Pull it, finger pin, metal pin. And then you can see how we're starting to ease some of this fabric into here. And then we'll repeat that for the back. and we'll be good to go. So take a couple of inches using neutral tensioning. And I'm wishing I would have gotten a lighter material, lighter color material, so it shows up better. Oh well. And then comes for the easing. And then we just pull it tight, and this is going to ease in really nice and easy. So finger pin, real pin, pull tight, finger pin, real pin, finger pin, real pin, and last one, finger pin, real pin. Ta-da! And now our sleeve is ready to be sewn.